Okay, I got the serpentine belt on. You can see the routing right there. Now I can torque these 3 bolts and then the bolts down there too. These 3 bolts, the torque is going to be with the water pump pulleys, 23 Newton meters. And then the harmonic balancer, there it is, 20 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. The serpentine belt does not have to be on to torque down the bolts for the harmonic balancer. The engine is stiff enough to just do all of the torquing on that. This one though, you do obviously have to have the serpentine belt on. You just got to make sure that you bottom these bolts out completely before putting the serpentine belt on, so that way it's not wedged some way that's weird as you're torquing these down. This job is just about finished. All I have to do is put the piping on up going along here. I need the fan shroud, and then the piping up front. I was looking through my old footage. Just remember how I did this. This pipe right here, you install this first, then your fan shroud. You got to do it in that order because it's just way too tight trying to do the reverse order. The black coolant pipe is in. So the way I did this, I maneuvered this thing in. I got this thing wiggled on the pipe, and then I got that one clipped in. I made sure it clipped down all the way. You'll always have to check that. And then I went in and then I tightened down that hose clamp. Slipping the fan shroud on there was easy enough. Remember, I had this bolt right here that is stuck back in there. Let me see something. So that bolt on this black coolant, I think this is actually intercooler piping. That bolt on the intercooler piping goes into the fan shroud on this part too. See that? You cannot see it. Basically, okay, yeah, that's a bolt on the other side of that plastic. It bolts to the fan shroud. So now that I got the fan shroud in, I can finish bolting in this black coolant, oh no, intercooler piping. I got those 2 bolts torqued down for this black thing, the black intercooler piping, and then I ran this big wire. It clips in right there. There's the thing you press in, and then you just got your clip right there. That's it. I'm just putting in this intercooler piping now, trying to remember how it went. I'm pretty sure this one went in there and then attached to and then this side attached to the gray one. And then let's see, this gray one's obviously supposed to be here. We got the bolt going there, the bolt going there. I guess that bolt wasn't missing, it was just going to that. Then we had the 2 bolts going there and there. Yeah, I'm just trying to remember how this thing went. Oh, and then I guess it's pretty clear. This bolt bolts to that. What else do we have here? This connection plugs into that. Plugs into there. I know that for sure. And then this one bolts somewhere. I'll have to figure that out. But what I'm going to do now, though, I'm going to go ahead and bolt this one down because I know this is for sure correct. Bolt there, and then the 2 for that. I'll attach this one to that and that one, tighten those down, and then I'm going to figure out this one. I got this pipe installed, and I see how it goes now. This thing has 2 holes, there and there. This bolts to it, and so does that. Okay, so the way you want to do this with this one is you want to get this, get it all the way in there. You can't see it. Get it all the way in that pipe right there, like wiggle it in there, and then you can thread that bolt in for this one. And then you're going to want to thread in the coolant hose. Let's see. Yeah, with that bolt on there, you're going to want to do that one after you do this one. And then I guess pretty much every single one of these are all T30 Torx. I got those 2 bolts threaded in there, just doing this pipe, whatever, yeah, for the coolant, some pipe thing. We got the bolt right there, and then it turns out this one actually, I have this torqued down, but I guess this one goes right there. I guess it just goes in between it somehow, whichever way makes the most sense. I'm just putting the last part on now. It's just this part and this part. Obviously I haven't bolted it down yet, but you just got to make sure you wipe down these seals, make sure that they're perfectly clean, and then I'll wipe down this area, make sure that's clean as well. We got a connection here, we got a connection there, you can see that pigtail plugs into that, and then after that this thing is done being put together. You just got to top off the fluids. At this point all the parts are on. I just need to top off the oil. According to Google it says it takes 8 quarts. This car doesn't have a dipstick, it's really annoying. They got this little thing that I believe you can actually pull this out and buy a dipstick for this, like, if you ever don't want to rely on that sensor, which if this was my car I for sure would buy the dipstick. That's really annoying how it doesn't have it. And then I need to top off the coolant. Topping off the coolant you have to be careful, because it's really easy to overheat an engine after you've drained the engine entirely. You have to burp the system, and the way you do that is you pull this bolt right there on the EGR cooler and you let it spill over. This is a really unfortunate location for the bleeder screw because it literally fills up the valleyway, and that sucks because this valleyway is where all of the leaky coolant goes in, and so, you know, after you bled your coolant, you look in your valleyway and there's coolant again, and so it makes it look like you're still leaking. Oil's topped off. I'm just topping off the antifreeze now. I filled that up and now I've loosened this. That size is a T20. So yeah, you just loosen this and you just let it spill out. I'm gonna be really careful to not let a bunch of antifreeze just go down into that valleyway. It's really unfortunate that they do that. So yeah, just be really careful when you're burping all of the air out of the system. When you're test driving it, keep a really close eye on this temperature gauge, because you may or may not have gotten all of the air out of the system. This one, I had to burp it a few times, and you just got to keep a really close eye on that temperature. If it begins to exceed 200 even a little bit, you have to stop. You got to shut the engine off and let it cool down before you can start it back up again. And so just be ready for that. You also got to keep the heater on. I put it on like the defrost and everything, you know, put the heater on full blast. And at first the heater is going to be cold. It's going to be cold air blowing out because there's air in your heating system. Once that air starts to blow warm, then you know you've gotten some of that air out of there. Some people even recommend letting the car sit overnight after you've done everything I described, and then burping it again. Basically pop open that screw on that EGR cooler, just see if any more air will come out. This car has been driven for a couple of days. At this point I'm just doing some final checkups. That front sealing flange, it seals both the oil and the antifreeze, and so it is a good idea to check for cross-contamination. It's a low likelihood of it happening, but you do want to like look at the condition of the oil and make sure it's not mixing in with the antifreeze, which this is not. And then it's good to just check the overall coolant level, coolant condition. Hold on. If this was cross-contaminating, it is really easy to tell. Be careful not to let this explode on you. So yeah, just regular antifreeze, everything's good. A little bonus footage. This tool that I got, the T40048A, did not come with the toolbox. So I purchased this off Amazon. Yeah, man, this for some reason when I purchased it, this part was missing, so that's really dumb. But I got this one on. See that I got these cut out. This is pretty convenient. You can actually just, I'll show you. This, it's like has squares, so you can easily like just rip it out to the size that you need. You see that? Oh, you can't really tell. Yeah, see that? It separates because it's just a bunch of squares. So yep, I got this tool box, ordered off Amazon, and it does pretty well with holding this and containing everything.